everybody? Welcome back to the Grid.
What's up, yo?
Hey, and we here with everybody. We're also here with our guest co-host, NASM certified personal trainer, Darrien Miller. What up?
What's going on?
How's it going?
It's going good. Thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you for being with us.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he's here to join in with us on our topic about emotional intelligence. You know, gotta figure out the emotions and work it into the whole body.
I'm emotional.
About the whole body. But before we get into all of that, y'all, what's been up?
What's been up?
It's been up.
Well, I know what's been up, and it's sad and it's unfortunate. But about the stabbing in the Warren High School with the two girls, very unfortunate. I know y'all heard about that, right?
Yeah, that's rough.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so the stories, you know, one story is saying that, you know, the two girls were dating the same guy, and another story was like something about a friend. One of the girl who got stabbed was a friend of the boyfriend of the girl who stabbed her, and she told him something. But either way, it's a very, 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 very unfortunate situation. Two young, beautiful lives are over now because of something that is very, you know, fair weather. Because who knows, in a couple of months, they probably wouldn't even been together, you know?
Yeah, right.
So,
It's so sad because it's like these like young women, like just their lives is just over.
yeah.
Both, you know,
Yeah.
even though she passed away, but her life is over.
Yeah.
And it's all over a boy.
And then also think of it from like the guy's perspective too. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what is he thinking? Like, wow, I'm the cause
Right.
essentially of this young lady's demise.
Yeah.
So it's like that's really one of those emotional intelligence situations. How do you even cope or deal with a situation that you just witnessed and to know that you were a part of it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because you gotta, as a guy, you gotta go to school the next day. You gotta
Exactly.
find out, you know, how everybody's feeling. You caught up in this turmoil, so you know that's
Right.
really rough situation to deal with himself too.
Actually, and I didn't even think about that as far as like, you know, I mean, of course he has a part in it, but just to think like, whoa, like, that's tough. Like, I hope and pray for him, you know, like that's not gonna tarnish his outlook on relationships, period.
You know
Yeah.
what? It's crazy because I'm like checked up on the story a little bit, and social media is already like bashing him, you know, a little bit. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's not his fault.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's not his fault at all because
Wow. Okay. Enough about that. On a lighter note,
Right.
some of my students, yes, some of my students from JIT Masters, they actually were, they actually had a great show at U of M in the Museum of Arts up in Ann Arbor. So they had a fantastic show. They had what's called the JIT Exchange.
Yes.
So they had like people from Zimbabwe actually come up and kind of merge with the Detroit jitters.
Oh, wow.
So they have their form of jit, and then we have ours, and then we had like one big showcase.
That's
And it was an awesome show. They had like a live DJ, and it was crazy because like the DJ and the instrumentalists were actually making like mix songs as they were going.
I saw a part of that on your social media. I was like, okay, because I was like, wait a minute, is that the band? Look,
Yeah, they was getting it in.
Wow.
we're having a
Okay.
moment here. They got jitting in Zimbabwe.
They had because what
I didn't know that.
because what happened
I thought it was
was
just I ain't that I thought it was just a Detroit thing, but then with our surrounding areas. But that's amazing.
well, they have their own form of jitting there. So what happened was Halim, or Strings, more famously known as, went to Zimbabwe. And I guess they had like a dance workshop there where he taught them how to jit, and then they taught him their form of jit. So it was one big collaborative effort. So it was definitely an awesome sight to
That's
see.
great.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
But yeah, so jumping into the interview, Darrien Miller,
Yes,
the
yes.
NASM certified personal trainer. That means he's official.
Oh,
Yes.
man.
Official. Don't be going to nobody saying that they know how to walk up some stairs and come on down some stairs and do some squats and say, are they certified? No. But anyway, so I guess tell us how you kind of got started.
Well, it started really just me working on a general. Started back in 2012. You know, what a lot of people don't really know is I lost my father to actually substance abuse.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
So it's okay, but doing that, I really turned to the gym a lot. You know, then pretty much turned to the gym. Really started turning to a passion.
Okay.
So I started going in maybe once, twice, Then before I knew, I was in there 4 or 5 times a day. Well, a week, excuse me.
Oh, I'm like, dang.
I'm sorry. A week, a week, and then that just really became an emotional release for me. Kind of get rid of that. So that's how I got started on it. But then I started really researching, and then just actually last April I got my NASM certification.
Cool.
Okay.
Congrats.
So what turned it into being a hobby into an actual career move for you?
Okay, so they always say that you should do what you love, right? So eventually, fitness becoming something that I love to do. I'm like, I hate working in a cubicle, 9 to 5 typical situation. So I want to be able to move and transition out of that. So that's what made me go get my certification. I started with 1 client, started with 2, then started moving my way out. So where I'm actually working myself out of a job.
So you was literally moving weight.
Okay.
Moving weight. So one more question for you.
Yeah.
So like, I guess when you started out working out and everything, how much did you weigh then versus how much do you weigh now?
Dude, okay, so college, mind you, they say everyone's supposed to gain a freshman 5 or 10. I probably lost the freshman 4 or 5.
Wow.
So going through undergrad, I was like 118. Now I'm like 155, but that was just all solidly working, week by week, making sure I eating regimen, making sure I'm consistent in it. So
118.
I was 118.
Man, I could have farted and blew you going across the room.
Could have threw me away. Could have left me in the dust, man.
Well, speaking of consistency, like I know for me, like I've learned that I've been through different diets and stuff like that, and I've learned like, okay, this has to be a way of life. Like, but sometimes it's hard. So what advice or instructions will you give someone who is kind of like me, where they just want to have a whole fitness lifestyle completely?
I would say don't make it seem like it's a chore. The biggest thing is you have to stick to things that you like to do. Find little small little crevices. Like if you like to say, like you like to eat salads or something like that, or if you like peanut butter, incorporate peanut butter into it. It's not about really restricting yourself, but it's more so about actually being disciplined to knowing what quantity that you need of your food. Or if you want to go work out, hey, maybe you need like about 30 minutes and then just get up out of the gym. You don't have to be there all day.
Okay.
So just small things to really tailor. And also you might have a favorite exercise you might like, whether it's kickboxing, whether it's boxing, whether it's lifting weights. Just find something that you like to do.
Yeah, man, I feel you on that because I like to play basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good form of cardio.
On PlayStation. So I got real strong thumb.
You're working your thumbs.
If I ever need a thumb, I know.
I'll thumb wrestle the boy.
Never got thumb wrestling competitions, man.
I'm on it.
So how do you with your clients, do you incorporate like diet and nutrition plan with their workout, or is it more so just physical?
Just physical, because I'm certified just in the physical aspect. But however, what it is that NASM really makes you go back over and actually because there's different categories you can go to. You can go to nutrition. You can actually go to group training, which I'm not certified in as well yet. But that'll be the next thing we're going to is towards nutrition.
Okay. So, and what do you have like 3 main essential exercises that you recommend for all your clients, or?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're trying to get off started, I would say core is so essential to the body, because without the core, the rest of the body is not strengthened.
Right.
So I would say core. If you're trying to really get physically fit, there's something that's called HIIT training. That's HIIT, high intensity interval training. If you're trying to peak the muscle and actually lose the fat or lose the weight or build the muscle, that's good. And also, just even small things like cycling or playing basketball, stuff like that, just to get the cardio going. But 3 small things I would recommend.
So in regards to, say if someone is a bit older and not quite able to actually get around and do like the high intensity workouts or what have you, but they're trying to lose weight, what would be a good method to use as far as like exercises for them that aren't as mobile as somebody in their 20s or 30s?
Absolutely. The biggest thing is that you really want to, of course, assess your client and figure out what they can and cannot do. Even because they're an older age doesn't mean that they can't do what someone else is doing. So you really have to give them assessment first and foremost. So if they're physically able to, or if they're physically not able to, you just have to scale things down back a little bit. So you have to really, and that's where emotional intelligence comes in at. If I know that I'm watching you, I'm reading your body language, and I know that you can't do a certain thing, we're going to scale it all the way back. So we may even do a treadmill exercise, and it's actually hit, ironically. So you may be walking. I just may even put it up 5, the 0.5 up level, just make you walk a little bit faster.
Okay.
So something like that.
So, nothing personal.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Right.
I don't like personal trainers.
Okay.
Not like
It's
that. Nothing
okay.
like that. Only because the times when I've had a personal trainer, because I have a background in dance.
Okay.
So you're not going to see me, I'm not going to huff and puff or anything like that. I might get red and I'll sweat. But the huffing and puffing, because of my dance background,
Gotcha.
it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So most of the times when I've had personal trainers, they would try to get me like, oh, you ain't huffing and puffing enough. Let me.
Terrible move.
You said that.
Terrible move for the personal trainer.
Okay.
No, not for you, but
Okay.
It's a terrible move. As a personal trainer, when we're in between exercises, I need to be asking you, how do you feel? What's going on? Do you have any questions? Being intuitive with your client is going to get you a lot farther than trying to kill them. Don't kill your client. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I can push. Like,
No. And plus, you also need to be checking the heart rate and see, because the client may not tell you, oh, I feel like I'm about to die. You need to check their heart rate and see where they're at, because that could have a lot to do with, saving a person.
Okay. So what advice would you give the audience in regards to their fitness and health?
Health is wealth. So my thing is, even if you're not looking for a personal trainer, if you're not hardcore to the gym, just get active. Maybe 90 minutes a week. 90 minutes a week. Get out there, do something, walk, cycle. Just do something, be active, because it's ironic that 70% of Americans are considered as obese at this point.
Yeah.
So, get active.
Yeah, that part. Do you think that it is because of inactivity?
It's inactivity. Also, we're in a phase of social media where everything is a convenience. We're in a microwave type of generation.
Yeah.
So we want things quick, fast, and in a hurry. We have where they're bringing food to you now instead of you having to go walk places and go do things. So,
Well, one thing is in regards to like the health and convenience of everything, the convenience of eating fast food now.
Yeah.
It's like you can get 4 for 4 before you can actually get 4 for 4 before you can actually get some real healthy food. Like when you go to the grocery store or what have you, you can get the vegetables and everything, but then you have this whole other side of the store where, oh, here's the more expensive vegetables that are actually better for you.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
here's my thing. Okay, so we have to support our local, stores, like our mom and pop stores or like markets and stuff like that. Because if I go to Randazzo's, like a fruit and veggie market, I can get stuff that's so much more cheaper than getting at Meijer or Kroger or something, one of these big chains, because they do separate it. I don't know why they separate it, but they just to get you to spend more money, I guess, for their corporation.
The organic and the non-organic, it is like, okay, well, what is this over here then? It's sprayed with certain pesticides and stuff like that when it's organic, when it's non-organic. But even just having a whole another health food section in the grocery store is like, well, what is this other stuff?
Right.
Wait. Well, what have I been eating? Chicken stuff.
It's all marketing, man. It's crazy.
It is, yeah. And that's the thing, I guess kind of tying it into the topic with emotional intelligence, it is being aware, of what's provided, why it's provided, how it's provided, and finding, like you said, those, farmers market or other health food stores that aren't trying to get your arm, leg, shoulder, shin, just to eat healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, speaking of emotional intelligence, for those of you, who may not be familiar with the definition, I'm a paraphrase. Super. But anyway, so emotional intelligence means to be aware of, control, and to actually express your emotions. And it also has to do with your interpersonal relationships with other people. There are 5 components of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. And so how I stumbled upon learning about emotional intelligence, I saw an audiobook in the store. So I bought it and I started, listening to it and just start understanding certain things. And it's definitely something to work on yourself and to be aware of, your emotions. So one of the quotes that the author said, he was saying that a lot of times we don't pay attention to our emotions. We think like, nah, I don't feel nothing. But he says it's very untrue. So he said, and we don't take the time to process our emotions. So he said, for every thought that you have, there's an emotion attached to it. And the thing is, he was saying how we process our thoughts, and sometimes we don't even get to process our thoughts, but we don't process our emotions. And so with that being, like, that whole thing was kind of like an aha moment for me, because just thinking about it and how I did not process my emotions at all, good, bad, sad, happy, mad, elated, excited, everything else, it was just like, oh, I'm just feeling this, or I wasn't feeling it. So another thing that I thought about was when Jay-Z was talking about, he was in an interview and he was speaking about how once he started learning about emotional intelligence, how it helped him in his marriage, and now how he feels like he can go against those generational curses within relationships within his family, because he hadn't seen any successful marriages or anything like that. I don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, it's very interesting. And one of the things, I guess, with social skills, it has a lot to do, like, how you interact with other people. And a lot of times we will look at somebody, and if they're sitting there and it's called, what's that, the RBF? The resting, resting bitch face. And somebody may look at someone and they say, oh, they got an attitude. And it's like, they probably don't. You don't even know that. But because our own emotional unintelligence and not really thinking about it, we're quick to judge.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like emotional intelligence is very, very, very important.
Yeah, because I used to be like that. When I see the resting bitch face, I'm like, oh, she got a problem. But now it's like, I don't think about me and how I feel. I think about, like, maybe she's going through something, or maybe that person they might have just lost someone. You just never know. You got to really just take a step back and just, step outside of yourself. Yeah.
See, I guess for me, it's kind of a self-awareness thing, because I've been told that I have, I guess, that RBF demeanor. But it's like, no.
You do. No.
It's cool. I can accept that. I'm self-aware.
Smile.
Smile.
Come on.
Smile. But, yeah. So it's one of those things where I'm not, even though I might not be smiling at that particular point in time, and my face may say one thing, I'm not mad at the world.
Right.
I'm just really I might just be in my thoughts. So if you say hi to me, I'm probably gonna say hi back. So it's okay. Just yeah.
And I think personally, just even something small as me opening up the door for someone, someone doesn't say thank you or something like that, or they don't give me a kind, smile or something like that. One thing, like, what's wrong with them? They got like a situation, but we really unpacking like generations of what was probably taught to people.
True.
So,
man, I hit somebody in the back of the head with a stick because thank you.
Say thank you.
They should say thank you, nigga.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just really, like, you really have to be polite, like, when somebody, because a lot of people don't hold doors open for people.
Yeah.
So when you got that person that actually take the time out to do that, it's like, say thank you.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
you never know. That kind of goes into the social skills, because a lot of people have social anxieties who you would never think actually have a social anxiety, where if they don't know you, they're afraid to say anything to you. Like, when I was younger, I was shy. If I did not know, be like, nah, but I was very shy. I was shy to the point where if you said, I told you my name, and I said Aaron, and you're like, oh, Karen? I'd be like, yeah. Because I had a social anxiety, and it still comes and goes, exactly. Right, I know. But
I was like that too.
Yeah, but it's something that you have to push forward. So a lot of times when people do that, like, or say, for example, if I'm sitting on the porch and my neighbor comes outside, I would not look at them and I would not speak to them until they spoke to me, because I felt like kind of scared to speak to somebody, even though I was always a boisterous type of person. But certain settings, I was just like, I would have social anxiety. So when you say that, it's like, yeah, but it's like, you don't know. That's where that social skills kick in, where you're just like, okay, well, maybe who knows?
All right, next time I'll be like, it's okay, you might have social anxiety.
Make it worse for them. Like, dang.
Wow. So would you say, like, at that age, you were, like, fairly introverted at that point in time?
I guess it was funny, because in school, like, around people who I knew, I guess so. I guess I was more introverted at that time. but I'll have a ball by myself, okay? Like, when
you're a class A introvert. I was having fun by myself, man. You came and messed it up.
But I feel like because how I had a ball by myself is because, like, I had older siblings and stuff, so certain things how I wanted to play, they didn't want to play. And I didn't have cousins who were my age, so it was like I had to play by myself at times. So I guess kind of in between. I never thought of myself as an introvert. That's why I'm like, no. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I am.
So how did you push yourself out of that? Like, how do you separate the two? Like,
we ain't interviewing me. No. I'm joking. No. Well, what helped me with it was dance.
Okay.
And once I felt like once I started to dance, my confidence kind of with people and stuff and just interactions and new people will dance. And then when I worked for at the mall, because then I had to speak to people and stuff. I was still a little shy in it or whatever, but it got me, you know. And another thing I learned within psychology with anxiety, therapy is they have exposure. So exposing yourself to things that may be frightening to you, you know, little by little. So that's what I do, and I still do it.
Yeah. I do it too. Like, I have to expose myself to things that's frightening, and I just do it. And that makes me more comfortable, like, with each and everything that I do.
Yeah.
Because you've been there first.
See, okay, so you were saying that you were like an introvert. See, I would consider myself more of an ambivert, which is kind of like a mix between introvert and extrovert.
Me too.
So I guess I would say I'm an introvert disguised as an extrovert.
That's funny.
You know, because it's like if you really, really know me, you know I typically like to do things by myself. So I'm constantly always thinking, I'm always doing stuff by myself, but if you put me in a social setting where I have to be social, I will.
Yeah.
That's me.
You know?
That's me.
And you could probably attest to that.
Yes, man, completely.
Yes. So, for those of you who don't know the backstory, this is one of my fraternity brothers.
Right.
So, go Mob.
Baby.
So yeah, like in any given setting, you might see, either one of us might see each other in a social setting where we can be very social, but then a lot of times we're sitting back and observing.
Absolutely.
And just kind of piecing things together and just looking at stuff. It's like, I can be social, but I'd much rather be in my own little zone right here. This is my space. Let me stay in my space until I'm ready to move from my space.
Absolutely. Especially when it came to programs, I would have like such an anxiety about speaking with a large number of crowds and just, you know, like trying to get points across. I'm like, I start tensing up right then and there. I'm like, all right, let me go ahead and just jump into it.
That's the worst feeling ever. That's the worst feeling.
So pretty much, like you said, exposing your fears little by little, I would just jump in head first. And I start becoming accustomed. Just jump in head first.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it, just do it.
Yeah. And so that's has to do, I feel like, with like self-awareness. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're aware of this and, you know, being able to recognize it and then doing something about it. And even in like intense situations, like if it's growing pains. Whenever I come into new situations, even though everybody feels the way they feel about certain things arise. You know, if you like your shoes tied with the bunny, you know, method, and I'm bridge over under, you know. Okay. We got to figure out somewhere in between how we're going to tie the shoe the way where we can come to an agreement or compromise with it. But oftentimes when we have those things, people get upset, and it's just like, even if we have like, you know, heated a little bit and then it come on down, after that, a lot of times I've noticed with people who I've dealt with like in the past, where it's like, they don't want, you know, they don't want to talk to you after that, or it's the issue, or it's like tension and everything like that. So I feel like those are the times where I call growing pains, and where emotional intelligence comes in, because you kind of got to get through certain, you're gonna have spats, like relationships, period.
Right.
I don't know, like, have y'all experienced anything like that?
I've experienced things like at my job where I did not, like, I had a hard time like dealing with people because, well, I'm a social person and I'm a people person, very down to earth. But sometimes in a work environment, you have people that's just like stuck in their ways. They say they're rude, and you know, they're more so like, you know, in your eyes, you're like, okay, you're being rude, whether it's to me or whether it's to a client. And I feel like, wait, you know, you don't bring, you know, your problems to work.
Right, yeah.
But I had this thing where I just was like, if a person's rude, I would just call them out on it, but I would be rude as well. So
Gang banging at work.
I'm like, look, but it would be private in a private way. Like I didn't like that, and you know. But now I learned to just kind of take a break, breathe, relax, and then talk to them calmly. Like just talk to them calmly, like, hey, you know, and just kind of replay everything, like what happened, and you know, let them know how it made me feel or how I, you know, seen it go down, whether it was to someone else, like a client or anything, and I just bring it to their attention in a nice way. But I had to use emotional intelligence to kind of just relax myself and not jump and get angry and understand that this is my work environment. You cannot continue to be in someone else's office because of the way you handle a situation. Even though it was rude, it doesn't mean you have to be rude back.
Right.
So,
and I can attest to that. By me being a school teacher now, I have to deal with a wide variety of students from every single background. So, like, whenever I see a student acting out, it's one of those things where I can't automatically think, oh, you being bad today. What's wrong with you? It's more or less one of those situations as to where, okay, are they cognitively impaired? Are they emotionally impaired? Did something happen on the way to school? Is it something that, you know, we may not necessarily be abreast to? So it's one of those things where you just have to kind of sit them down and say, hey, you know, what's going on? Is there anything that I can help you with? Versus get on the wall, or, you know, you're in detention or you're getting suspended. You have to really understand what's going on in those minds of theirs. You know, by us being older, you know, having a different perception of life, sometimes you have to go down to their age bracket and, okay, so what's going on? Oh, that's what's wrong. Okay, want to talk about it?
Right, yeah. So do you think that, like, now that you're Mr. Teacher, they don't have you on the means as teacher, babe. But no, for real. That's your picture?
That's my picture.
Okay. But no, so do you think that, you know, teachers, or were you trained on emotional intelligence or something like it in, like, as far as like your teacher training or any meetings or anything like that?
There was some preliminary stuff during professional development, in which we had to you know, go through small things of training or what have you. I haven't quite gotten to like the big training as far as like some of the other staff meetings that some of the other staff may have had previous to me, because this is my first year. So this is stuff that I will probably be doing at this point independently, just because I'm in the trenches now and I have to know how to deal with these situations. But I'm pretty sure that there are some trainings further down the line once we actually get through close to the semester, you know, the semesters or what have you.
do they have any like a curriculum that's like similar to helping kids that have like emotional issues, like that would help with emotional intelligence?
Yes, they actually have specialists that come into the schools, and then they kind of pull those students out that they recognize have these impairments, cognitive, emotional, behavior, whatever the case, and then they kind of pull them aside and kind of have like certain accommodations for them, so that way they can actually kind of develop as their regular peers are doing in this classroom, but they're kind of doing it at their own pace.
Right. That's good.
My question in regards to that, do you think it's because a lot of the kids are idle, like they have an idle mind sometimes, where they don't have an outlet to kind of release it, or?
Yes, some of them.
Okay.
Other ones, it may have been some childhood trauma.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a bunch of different things. It may have been their parents may have been on some type of substance as they were, you know, infants or what have you. And it, you know, transferred to them. So they have some type of cognitive issues. So it really just varies. But to answer that question, yes, a lot of them have issues in regards to just having idle time and not really having a way to get out that aggression.
Okay.
Which is why when I was talking about like earlier with JIT masters and the dancing and stuff, for me as a student, I was that kid that was a little bit of a troublemaker.
I can tell. I knew that. I just can tell.
A little bit?
Don't say nothing, because she went to high school. Don't say nothing. Plead the fifth.
More than a little, but anyway.
So for me, like, performing arts was my outlet. Okay. You know, that was my outlet in which I could get all my aggression and everything out, especially with like poetry. Like, that was, I'm not a hugely emotional or overly emotional person, but I can write exactly how I'm feeling more so than I can verbalize it at times.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you are though. You know what I'm saying? Like I guess the whole like emotion when it's like, especially for men, it's like but we're human. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it is something. Unfortunately, emotions and the emotional has been like such a negative undertone and blanket on it for it's just like, oh no, that's weak. But in the audiobook, he was saying like that's something that it's not, because you need to know how to manage those emotions. So especially I know like for men, because it's taught to like don't cry.
You get beat up for these kind of things by older siblings.
Exactly.
That's
Yes, it's unfortunate, but it's just like that's your outlet. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you are, and it's fine. It makes you strong.
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a poem that I did recently, and it was talking about like growing up with my father and how things were different between my mom and him. Like my dad would literally say, "Hey son," bam, and hit me straight in the chest.
Hey.
And it's like, why?
Right.
He was like, basically, I'm just trying to make you tough. What did I do? I just want to say hi, man. I need to say hi first.
Right.
So trying to be overly emotional or crying, he was basically trying to beat or instill into me, don't cry.
Because that's probably the way that he was taught.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
exactly.
Us as men, we are, especially as black men in America.
Yeah.
You can't show fear. You can't show weakness. You can't show emotion.
Absolutely. And from an outside perspective, from a personal training perspective, the first 5 minutes of warming up, I need to ask you, how was your day? Like if I don't ask, then I don't know. You could be having something that's tragic going on at home.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, that's like even a client I just recently had. She literally tore up the front part of her car. We were still trying to make it to the session.
Oh wow.
Go home and take care of it.
Yeah.
Your mental health and your emotional being is way more important than you trying to get the session in. And people remember that. That's gonna be residual type of people coming back to you because you care about them.
Yeah, and that matters. It truly does matter. Yeah, and I mean I feel like that's something that's important. It's just as important, or even more important, in what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because, like you said, you have to know how that person is feeling, because it affects the whole thing. And I'm sure, like, you seem to be someone who is a more involved personal trainer, where you care about the whole overall being of the person.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, y'all. So, emotional intelligence, remember, if nothing else you take away, for every thought there's an emotion, and process those emotions, process those thoughts, because I feel like a lot of times we don't, and we jump to conclusions and jump to actions and have some very harsh repercussions, and also affect, other people who are in our lives. But to just switch it a little bit, have a little fun with it and whatnot, we got our questions in our imaginary box.
It's hiding. So I want to ask you guys a fun question, and we're going to start with you.
Uh-oh.
So what fictional character would you be, and why?
Fictional character. Can I come back? No, I can't come back.
Top of the way. Tristan, what about you?
Batman.
Why?
Batman is my favorite superhero of all times. Mostly because he and I have similarities. Except for him being a billionaire and everything, I'm not. But in regards to our personalities, we can be very reserved, kind of stoic, kind of cynical, but still be in social environments and still can make the party happen. Also, both of us are fairly intelligent, if I must say so myself. And then also we both love to, I guess, he's like one of the best detectives ever in comics, aside from Sherlock Holmes. I like to put stuff together. I like to put the missing piece together, as you might see like in our conversation we have throughout the show. Like I kind of connect the dots with certain subject matters, and I'm like, oh, so that's the truth behind it. There we go. So Batman.
Well, mine was Batman, but now I have to come back.
It can be two Batman.
It's only one Batman.
I mean, okay, I'll be Michael Keaton and you be Ben Affleck.
Don't make it disrespectful. That's disrespectful. I'm out. No, I gotta come back to me because it was. But no, okay. So mine was Batman. I just identify with Batman, not on just in different ways, of course. You know, he's a man, I'm a woman, but I feel like anybody could be Batman because he's like that vigilante, but he know what he's doing. He definitely came up from all of the, fears and just the whole hardships of his past, and he was able to get through it, and, pow, 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 pow. Anyway, I identify with Batman.
You ain't got the tattoo, though. You ain't got the tattoo, though, Sway. You ain't really Batman, B.
I'm really the Riddler. No. Too many questions.
It's crazy you guys said Batman because Catwoman for me.
Okay.
Only because she's sexy. It's like, nah, seriously, only because I like the fact that she was just kind of like more so had like this secretive thing going on.
Oh,
but
so
no, not like that, but she'll step out and take care of her business. And that's how I am, like, not secretive, but I'm more so just to myself, and, but I step out and take care of my business, private, but take care of my business. And I got that image from Catwoman, so.
Alright, back to you, sir.
Okay, so I'm a silly guy. A lot of people really don't realize I'm a goofball. So I'm gonna be Quail Man from Doug.
Yes!
Okay.
Quail Man from Doug. Look, he has his imagination. He's all in his own left, right lane. He does his own thing, and not to mention, he just has fun. So
And
go ahead.
And he wears his underpants outside of.
That is another thing that I like. And he uses his imagination. So I'm good with Quail Man.
Okay.
There you go.
Before we go, Darrien, please let the good people know how to get in contact with you.
All right, you can get in contact with me at dmandcofitness@gmail.com, Instagram dmandcofitness, Facebook Darrien Darian Miller, Twitter dmandcofitness.
Hey.
There you go.
Okay. So there we have it, guys. Remember, push to empower, and also leave your comments down below.
I'm Batman.
Y'all kind of was late. Look, I'm petty.